Hello and welcome to yet another LEGO set review. Today I have on display here LEGO set 75275, the UCS A-wing fighter. Released in 2020, there is approximately 1,668 parts and one minifigure. At the time it was released, the price was $199.99 US dollars, which translates to $259.99 Canadian. As you can see on display, we have a plaque as usual for the UCS sets. We have one minifigure, and we have this incredible UCS model. I've always been a fan of the A-wing ship ever since seeing one crash into the Star Destroyer in Return of the Jedi, released in 1983, but particularly as one of the options to play in the many LucasArts video game series, especially the X-Wing and X-Wing versus TIE Fighter game series. I remember picking the A-Wing quite a lot because it was super fast, maneuverable, had lots of missiles. Wasn't the strongest ship in the fleet, but it certainly was fast. And the work on the ship is incredible. What I'll start with is just doing a little turnaround so you can see the ship from multiple angles. Here we get to see our front view. The stand allows you to change the display orientation. So if you'd like, you can keep the set a little bit straighter and then have it angle around at sort of a straight-on view. So that's really great. So we can see the angles of the ship more from orthogonal directions. So we can see the front view, really nice. The one complaint I do have about the set is just that the foils here, they are adjustable, so it's really easy to get those knocked out of position or not lining up. It would have been nice if there had been a way to kind of slot in those foils without having them sort of drift. It would be good to kind of lock those in position. But the real sort of engineering that went in to get these very different modular pieces at different angles to slot in, particularly here. I tilt this down, looking at the set of Lego pieces here, looking at the angle of the Lego pieces, the way that they angle in towards the front of the ship, you can see that must have been quite a job to get that to work. The attachment was really, really slick. These do kind of come off in larger chunks and then get assembled with little bits of pins or other Technic elements. A bit tricky to line up, but I really appreciate the engineering that went into designing the Lego to fit at these multiple angles to create the resulting shapes. It's quite a phenomenal ship to have on display. The color, again, the white and red. You can see how this design really did sort of influence designs in the prequel trilogy, how so many of the Republic ships had this color pattern kind of borrowed from the A-wing ship here from Return of the Jedi. Really, really striking, great ship. Nice angles, really, really fun to look at on display. And for the most part, there's not too many gaps. I think probably the worst offenders are kind of around in this area. You can see there's like a little bit of gapping here, and especially at the bottom. Not too much to complain about when you're looking at a Lego set particularly. Right over here, the laser cannons. What I'm used to is when I saw A-wings in games, the cannons you couldn't reverse, but upon looking up some of the data off of some other reviews, it looks like the Nintendo GameCube version of the Star Wars games would allow you to reverse the cannons, and you can see they've built that in as a feature. So these cannons, again, it moves both sides at the same time, but moving one moves the other one. They can move to change their firing position. I never saw that in universe, so I don't think I've ever seen an A-wing do that in anything that's canon, but it's a fun play feature, and again, a nice way to kind of give a little bit of an homage to people who played the games. And again, they are easy to detach. Again, they have strength, but there's not much holding them on there, so it's really not designed to be played with a lot. It's a big, bulky set. Angles look really, really nice. Again, really great angle, having it tilted like that. Looks just like it did before it hit that old Super Star Destroyer bridge. So the cockpit doesn't flip open, it detaches. So let me get in here and remove the cockpit canopy. The canopy piece is really slick, really nice, but the one thing that I think was a bit of a miss here was that you had to apply these stickers. Now, I'm quite fortunate. I bought this set already built, used off of Craigslist, so I didn't have to go through the agony of putting these stickers on. And whoever did an admirable job, because I know this sort of thing frustrates the heck out of me. I would much rather that Lego use printed pieces, but I understand there's a lot of reasons behind that decision. I'm just saying as a consumer, if it's a UCS set, something that is definitely not for kids, something that is more for collectors, I think it would make a lot more sense to give them something that they would be really proud to have on display. Put that aside. You can see here, there's the seat, which does tilt forward and back. You can see inside of the cockpit, there is a little yoke, right, for piloting, as well as a little display screen that can just angled a little bit up or down, depending on how you want to sit. But of course, the UCS sets are not bound by being minifigure scale. They're usually built at a much larger scale. So they look fantastic on display and have a lot of detail. But of course, if I put a minifigure in here, it's going to look pretty comical. It's not going to stay in place for one, and they're going to look really small, right? So it really looks kind of like a kid sitting in the back seat of mom and dad's car. Doesn't quite fit there with proper scale. But again, really great to have this minifigure, and I'll have a look at that separately in another part of the video. But the shaping of the seat is really well done, nice and slick. It's good that it got a little bit of range that you can work with, and then you have to reattach the cockpit like so. So the other area of the ship that's interesting to explore, of course, is the engine segments at the back here. If you do look at the design in universe, and I'll try and get some screen caps up and cut them into the video afterwards, there is a gap here between the engine elements, so similar to the Y-wing. But in universe, this flap would actually be attached physically to here. And you can see due to the weight, it does sag a little bit. So let me just tilt this up a little bit more so you can see it's sort of parallel. There we go. So you can see that the weight of the assembly is really pulling down on this end. So after a while, you have to go back in and tighten things up and push things down. I can really see kind of the gapping, particularly over in this region here. You start to see kind of that separate a little bit more, and this sort of hangs down. And then the gap between the back of the foil here and here is definitely less, right, as you get closer to the more supported side of the engine block. Looking at the angle of the foils here again, that they can be moved, I think the goal here is to try and line them up so they're kind of parallel to one another, not leaning in, but you can see these can fold all the way down. So it is pretty easy if things kind of fall on a shelf and hit your A-wing. If it survives, the angle of the foils may not be in the exact location you would like them to be to line up. But the engine elements, again, I really appreciate they tried to make it look like the engines are glowing, right? So they've got the little light in there. But I know not everybody would agree that that's the best choice. If it should be more that it's just, the engine block and then maybe having the center elements. But I think if you look at the way it's displayed in universe, they're always flying. And without having that nice big glow element in the back of the engine, I think it'd be losing a little bit, look a little bland, I think. Just turning around here to the front. Again, some really great angles that they were able to achieve. Now, the one thing I'll say is that when you do compare the Lego version of the A-wing, you're going to notice some significant differences in the design if you compare it to in-universe or compare it into spec sheets you can get from books. It's not the same proportion, and that doesn't bother me too much. I recognize this is an A-wing, but I understand for people who are really into collecting and you're paying premium, it's a UCS set, not a play set. It's for collectors, for adults by and large. People want things to be more accurate. But looking at the scale and scope of the model, what they were able to achieve, I still think it's incredibly successful. I mean, no way I could do anything resembling this at all. I'm not that talented with Lego building whatsoever. So I think they did a great job. But of course, if you're a purist, there's probably things that are going to disappoint you. In terms of what I think would have been nice to add would be some landing gear. This set cannot be displayed without the stand. Let me remove it from the stand and I'll show you what I mean. It is pretty easy to grab the set, but I've also noticed it's pretty easy to grab it in the wrong place. Things do pop off. So it's not something easy to give to kids to play with, but if you hold it properly, but you can see, as I tilt down, not a great look, right? You can't put this just on its own without the stand. So that's a bit of a miss. I understand if they wanted to have this set just sitting there like it was in a hangar bay, then they would have to design some sort of landing gear. But you can see on the bottom here, it's all really plain. Not a lot of detail went up to this side, which makes total sense because you're only going to display it from here more than likely. Here we have a close-up view of the plaque and stand. Again, unfortunately, with it being a UCS set, it is a sticker. And I know a lot of people hate this. I'm not a huge fan of this either. It's a UCS set. I would love there to be printing. I know it's not easy, having white and blue on a black background. But printing certainly has advanced in the last few decades. It shouldn't be impossible. It would be nice, but I get it. Just a sticker for now. And again, I got this set used, so you can see it's got a little bit of tearing on the corners because the person I bought it off of while they were a young kid, selling their Lego to go buy some electronics, games, phone, etc. And they didn't put the sticker on very well. It had a lot of bubbles on there, so I had to use a sharp X-Acto knife to try and scrape up a corner, peel it off, flatten it out, and try to make it look a little bit better. I will say the minifigure is very impressive. Let's have a look at that. And so here's the single minifigure that comes with the UCS A-wing set. It's not credited with any name, so we do assume it is the pilot from Return of the Jedi. Again, very nice minifigure, but it does have a lot of similarities with the minifigure that came out with a previously released playset version of an A-wing, I think in 2013. Very nice printing on the legs. It would be great to have had some arm printing. Again, that's always a feature that makes people really excited when they see, you know, a minifig in a UCS set has gotten a lot of detail, a lot of attention. But print is really great. I love the helmet. The designs there are really great. Back is a little bit plain, but again, for a pilot that was normally sitting in a vehicle, that's not too terrible. Most of the detail would be expected to be thrown on the front of the figure, which is okay. Let's see if we've got an alternate head here. There we go. So that's a good expression for just before colliding with a Star Destroyer. So, unfortunate expression. I think probably a little more terror. If I remember from Return of the Jedi, I don't think he was quite puzzled. He looked more distraught and terror-stricken with the worry of connecting with that Star Destroyer bridge, unfortunately. But again, the detail on the helmet, again, I love collecting pilots. I love seeing all the designs and details. I'd encourage, if you can, go have a look at some of the art of books, because again, if you get any close-ups of some of the helmets, the prop team, the costume department, the work they did on these, they really are fantastic, and it's nice to see that Lego honors that here with their minifigures as well. So, excellent figure. But again, this is a set where I don't think anyone was buying it for the minifigure, although it's pretty unique. It certainly isn't unique enough to justify the almost $300 Canadian you'd have to shell out to pick up this thing. So there you are. There is the UCS A-wing. Again, reason I'm doing this review is to have a little bit of a record. I'm going to be letting go of this set, unfortunately. I'm going to be posting it up online to see if I can sell it used to anybody out there, because I just saw that another UCS set is on sale on the Lego website today. So I always try and pay it forward. If I want new Lego, got to sell it the old stuff. Again, it's hard to keep everything on the shelves. They do get filled pretty quickly. I think this Lego set is really great. It's got some fun build techniques. Very unique. The color combo is really striking. It's an excellent display piece. Is it for everybody? I don't know. A lot of people probably don't know about the A-wing, so it's a little obscure, but it's a great model. It looks fantastic on display. Definitely it's expensive. I think right now, because the set's retired, even used, it's probably selling for about the same price, or just a little bit less than what it was brand new when it came out. So in that sense, the UCS sets are a good investment, because they usually hang on to their value. And if you are one of those collectors, or you've got one of those collectors in your family, a good way to get kids to save up money for more Lego is to get them to, you know, sell their old stuff and just clear it out and enjoy the build, and then pass it on to someone else who might really enjoy having this set on their shelf for a little while. Again, really great set, beautiful on display. Not sure if it's for everybody. Again, if A-wing is something you haven't even heard of, then you're probably not going to be that interested in this set. But I've had this on display for, you know, over a year, and every time somebody comes into my office and sees this on display, I go, wow, can I have a look at that? it's a great set. It's really, really nice, easy to hold, not easy to play with. This thing's huge, not for kids, I wouldn't say to play, but you can swoosh it around. For what it is, I think it's a really great display model. If you got the room on a shelf, it does look fantastic on display. It's really, really nice. So with that, I'll say thanks for sticking around for the review. And what are your thoughts on this set? Have a good one.